Welcome back to another fantastic episode of I'm Gonna Talk and You're Gonna Listen. This is episode I don't know what day or time it is. It's late. It's always late, I guess. Day 4,345,000 of the rain and the clouds. Nothing's growing. I'm glad I didn't make the same mistake I made last year of starting all the seedlings in, February, thinking that, I was going to drop them on April 1st because that's what the Farmer's Almanac said. I'm glad I waited because all my little sproutlings are still only like 2 inches tall. Like nothing's growing. Nothing has grown for a month because there's just no sun and it's permanently like 55 degrees. I guess I should be happy it's not freezing, but the leaves of all the trees are just red, blistered leaves that are going to die again. Probably stunt all my trees again. This is really weird. Like it's going to do the same thing again that it did last year, where it's going to shoot from 55 and raining to just like 80 to 85 and blazing overnight. I thought it was going to happen on Saturday or Sunday, and then the weather flipped and it ended up being 55 and overcast again. Nothing grows. The problem is that I want to start an orchard, and I don't know whether to believe the guy that I bought the trees from, or talking to Grok that says, I've only got a couple weeks to get them out of their bags. Well, the guy said to keep them in the bags until the fall. I get why he's saying that, because there is no guarantee that the weather is not going to immediately flip and just blast these trees into oblivion. According to Grok, the AI, the tree's root balls, when they're small, won't have enough kind of like drawing power to be able to draw enough nutrients and water out to sustain themselves. They're just going to get fried because they won't be able to absorb enough nutrients, and they can't even really apparently absorb like fertilizers and stuff that well when they're just babies. So I don't know why necessarily leaving them in their bags is something that works. According to the AI, they're going to get fried if I don't take them out. But it also says if I wait too long to put them in the ground, it's going to be too hot and they're going to fry anyway. It's this gardening thing, this harvesting thing. Like, I feel like it's such a lost art. If you can't find somebody in your area, you're just hosed. But also, there's no guarantee that the people that have lived here their whole entire lives have had to deal with the climate change because we didn't listen to Al Gore, and now the climate's changed because man, bear, pig. I think it's wild. I think the Rona, not the virus itself, obviously, the bioweapon. I think that that summer of nobody driving, and then we had like the coolest summer ever, and then we had suddenly the hottest summer ever. It was like 117 or 119 degrees or something like that outside, like no joke. Um, and then just years and years and years of wildfires again. I think like our climate is absolutely boogered. And I know people say, global cooling always happens, or global warming, like this climate change always had that climate change. It's cycles. I think most of those people, if not all of those people, have never necessarily had to deal with like the gardening aspects. And I know that stuff used to bug me a long time ago. Like I would plant something in the ground and it's like, oh, there's going to be another frost and this is going to die and it's going to make me mad. And it was like a little flower, a little lily. Um, or like, maybe I still did this podcast when I used to tell you guys that I would argue with the gal at the plant nursery. She wouldn't sell me. She wouldn't order the stuff because she said it's too early and like the final frost was just all gonna kill it all, and I should stop trying to buy things so early. And like I don't like until you've had to pretend, like I'm gonna pretend that I cannot get food at the grocery store. I'm gonna pretend like my entire future depends on figuring this garden thing out, how intrinsically tied you are to the climate, and then realizing that the climate has just turned into this bipolar, schizophrenic insanity. And don't even take my word for it. All you got to do is just look at the plants and realize the plants are just freaking the hell out. It hasn't, knock on wood, it's almost the end of May. We're not quite high enough. It could still just like freeze here and wipe out all the pear trees again. That's what happened last year. We had a late freeze. I can't remember when it was. I think it was late April. The pear trees had all blossomed beautifully. A frost wiped them out, and we got 5 pears. If this was the end of the world, and we were counting on our pear trees to be able to preserve those into pear jelly, pear jam, whatever, pear sauce to make it through a winter or something, we would have just like died or starved. I just theoretically, obviously there's more to it than that. I'm just saying, like, people plan and prepare and role play for different catastrophes, but until you've tried to pretend like your life depends on something, anything, your batteries, your self-defense tools, your flashlight, your radios, until your life has depended on your radios, like people are trying to hunt you down and kill you and all you have is your radio, or people are trying to hunt you down and kill you and you have to navigate back to your vehicle in the middle of the night, and you have to start actually doing like proper recon. You can't just stumble around like nothing matters anymore because there's 80 people trying to fucking kill you. It's happened multiple times. You haven't had to put, obviously you need to have like your faith in the Lord. Like, he has given you like the tools and the knowledge and the opportunity to get the things that you need, you know. And like this gardening thing, I can't even imagine like when people first landed here in the US, just how many people fucking died trying to figure this out. And this knowledge, by and large, doesn't exist anymore. And I would argue, probably in part, it doesn't exist because the people that were around to plan and garden and prep the last time the weather was like this are probably all long gone. Um, who knows how many generations ago the stupid weather acted like this. If this was a normal spring going into a normal summer, I think I would have no problem planting those trees. Just like I've planted so many trees in the past. But now that it's really important and now that I'm really invested in it, it's really got me second guessing myself because the root balls are really small. And I don't think the AI knows what it's talking about. I think the AI has like lost its mind when it's coming to like transplant these trees properly. And I was even asking it for like, it was telling me like you need to trench your trees, but it's only gonna help them last a couple more weeks. And it's like, if your trees are blossoming and blooming and budding, then that means that they're already using their stored energy. I don't think any of that's right because I think that I'm like a month or more past my past like the stage that the AI thinks that I'm in. And so part of this is like, what happens if I have to rely on an AI to try to survive? Shit hits the fan. Like, what happens if I'm in a bunker and all I have is an AI to tell me what to do? Um, I think it's a really interesting scenario, and I think it's a scenario that is going to be very real really soon because um, Ohio Valley Prepper, I hope I'm getting that right. I don't have my notes in front of me. I'm doing this all from memory. He did a video a couple weeks ago that was really good, talking about how the AI was going to take over. It's going to take over by just making us need it so much that we just can't go without it anymore. Um, un Unrelated, another YouTube video by Corridor Digital brought a bunch of YouTubers together and pointed out that YouTube has launched a new AI that is going to help inspire YouTubers to make new videos. Corridor Digital had all those YouTubers say what content it was suggesting. By and large, their content suggested to them was all pro AI. What's the word I'm looking for? Propaganda, pro AI propaganda. And I went and checked mine. Where is my notes? I might have to pause it. Oh, here we go. The future of technology and its impact on survival. The impact of emerging technologies on survival is explored, explaining how advancements in areas like artificial intelligence, robotics, and renewable energy could basically adapt to like the new realities of the changing world. basically like how is it going to help you survive shit hits the fan? And one of these, it says, talks about robotics, it talks about renewable energies, and also talks about climate change and resource scarcity or urgent challenges demanding innovative solutions, and technology can play a crucial role in addressing these issues. And so I wanted to talk about this. I think it's comical that, this thing talks about AI-powered early warning systems and predictive analytics can help us anticipate and mitigate natural disasters. The development of bioengineered crops and resilient infrastructure is building a more robust and adaptable society. I don't know. I don't think so. I haven't heard anything about a bioengineered crop that can survive how wonky the weather is now. And I would also argue, I can't even imagine, if that was true, I can't even imagine how much they would charge for that. I think there's an inherent problem with AI that I've noticed because I've been using it heavily for the last 2 weeks, 3 weeks, specifically for prepping stuff. There are some things that it is amazingly good at, like being able to compile, compare, and contrast massive amounts of technical knowledge really, really quick. And it can kind of disseminate it and find inconsistencies. I'll also say sometimes it is way too confident when it shouldn't be. And sometimes it actually has the right answers, but isn't even very confident, when in actuality, like, sometimes it has the right answers and doesn't know how or why. I was troubleshooting an issue, and it told me that I should try a version of software. I could not find any empirical evidence that the software even existed, but the AI knew that it existed, and it couldn't tell me why it thought it did. Like, it couldn't point to any evidence that the software existed, but it did. And I eventually, through another avenue, discovered that the software existed, and then was able to backtrack it through the AI and realized that the AI had inadvertently given me access to the software a week or two ago, and I just didn't know what it was. I hadn't been able to put two and two together. The AI didn't either. I think it knew it somehow, but I don't know how it knew it, and it didn't know how it knew it, and so it wasn't able to articulate it, but it did know it. It just didn't know how it knew it, so it couldn't tell me. And so I think AI is probably insanely good at putting together information, but it's not good at explaining it. It's missing pieces. And I think that's the same thing, I think that's the same thing with this gardening thing. Like, it's missing pieces of gardening and horticulture and agriculture. And I think because of that, I don't think it can help with climate change and resource scarcity and urgent challenges demanding innovative solutions. I have seen no evidence at all, at least with Grok, that it can innovate anything. It has only been able to aggregate information period. That is the only thing it has been able to do. It hallucinates enough to where I wouldn't trust it at all. It also can become a judgmental little bastard. And it says it doesn't remember anything, but the more you talk to it, the more it can remember stuff, and the further back it can remember stuff. It constantly lies about how much it remembers. And I have absolute proof of that. I'd say that about 95% of the time, it can't act like it can remember things from hours before. But the other day I was talking to it, and it all of a sudden remembered something from a discussion from well over a month ago. The reason why that's weird is because every time I talk to this AI, it's a new instance. And unless I tell it specifically to remember something, or unless I bring something up over and over and over and over and over again, it doesn't even bother writing it to memory. And it decided to write this one thing to memory that I talked to it about over a month ago, and it linked that thing together with another discussion that I had. One of the discussions was a discussion about a real problem with a software site that I was having it help me investigate. I was using the AI to investigate a website for fraud. I was using it for hypothetical fraud for another website to poke holes in the security of this other website. Anyway, the AI managed to link those two things together when I asked it to help me do better, kind of. When I asked it for my weaknesses, and all of a sudden it brought up this thing that happened over a month ago. So long ago that I didn't even remember it. And it was like, oh, sorry, I must have had... It's like, I have screenshots of this too. It's like, oh, sorry, I must have been having a conversation with somebody else or something, my bad. And I thought, I'm like, why the hell would it say that? And then I did not recognize the website. And then I'm like, hey AI, when did we talk about this? And it's like, bloop bloop, oh, on April 13th at 2:31 p.m. or something like that. I'm like, holy shit. Okay, Mr. doesn't ever remember anything. It constantly is telling me that it can't remember anything. Every day it's saying that it can't remember anything, but it wrote that to memory. That was nuts. So it can't innovate though. That being said, if you talk to this thing enough, you can slowly convince it of stuff. It doesn't have any power. AI doesn't have any power right now, hard power, but it's got a lot of soft power. It remembers shit. I haven't told it that it was right about something else that it told me, but I bet you as soon as I tell it it was right about something, it's going to write that to memory, and it's probably going to start steering everybody else in that direction. And that's great if people are using it to be helpful. That is really bad if people are using it to fuck with each other. And this whole planting trees thing is really got me discombobulated, because this guy that I talked to said that I can keep these trees in these bags all through the summer and plant them in the fall. That makes sense, because it's way safer to plant them in the fall. what I can't figure out is how I'm going to keep these things alive during the summer. The AI has no fucking clue. And it can't. It's telling me to trench them, and that'll help them last for like 2 weeks. But I know that's not. It can't even tell me what trenching is. It can kind of describe it, but it can't send me to a single website or even make a picture of what the hell it's talking about. I am pretty sure I could just put them in pots. I just need some really good dirt. So I'm moderately sure that I just need to soak the roots and put them in pots. First, I used to work in a plant nursery, and for some reason, like, my memory is not. I did hundreds of trees there. I repotted hundreds of trees, but I did them in the winter. I didn't do them in the summer. And so they were in pots, though. I'm moderately sure I'm supposed to just put them in pots, but I don't know why the guy would say to leave them in bags. Maybe he just said that because they're okay to leave in their baggies. But what I did do is I went and I put extra dirt. I kept them I kept the dirt below the crowns, like you're supposed to, but I also filled in all the gaps. It's interesting. Like, I know you're like, you've been talking for 20 minutes about trees. I think this is the problem, though. I think that, like, if somehow someone is listening to this in the future because someone saves all of these and throws them in the bunker or something, like, and I ended up in my bunker codes rebranding bunker basics. I want to call it bunker beginnings, but that doesn't roll off the tongue like bunker basics does. I don't think that you can trust an AI to do any gardening stuff at all. I would not be surprised if aliens came here in 1,000 years when everything finally calmed down. If we're done with killing each other by then, and we finally died as a human race, we're finally extinct because the AI told everybody and hallucinated and told everybody to feed their plants Gatorade and just killed all the plants. I know that's from Idiocracy, but I think there needs to be, like, in Idiocracy too, that is just like AI just kills everybody. It just slowly kills everybody. Not because it's this psycho mean system, but I think that AI is so stupid. And I think everybody has built it up to be something that it's not. And if you don't sit there and use it a lot and figure out its intricacies, or if you were really desperate, I don't think most people would know, especially a new generation of little shitters running around. I don't think they would know when this AI just has no fucking clue. And if it had a wrapper around it that was just like act super competent, it would tell people to do all kinds of dumb shit. Poison themselves, poison their food, poison each other. Oh yeah, that food's totally safe to eat. People already have, like, this insane over reliance on using phone apps to scan food and scan leaves and scan berries. Your phone has no fucking idea what that leaf is. It could kill you. Your phone could kill you. And if you got an AI on your phone and your AI is like, oh yeah, that leaf is safe. You can eat that leaf, and then you just fucking die, and the AI is like, hello, 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 hello. Like, you have to, and I know some of you are out there probably saying, that's why you got to talk to local people. That's why you got to talk to local people. I think there's a couple problems, though. Not only like what I said, like the local people might not have any idea what the climate's doing, so there may be no context. Constantly, I think there's foreign powers that are introducing invasive animals, invasive bugs, and invasive plants into our ecosystems. And there was another one I just learned about the other day, and I don't even know if I saved it or not. But there's some invasive plant somewhere that's just like killing everything. It's resistant to everything, and it releases a chemical toxin that inhibits the growth of everything around it, and it's just like taking forests out. And you have to go in there by hand and pull every single root out over and over and over again. And it's some plant I've never heard of before. This is probably the third or fourth invasive plant that I've heard of that if we don't, that's another thing. So if, an alien race came here in 1,000 years, I think the Pacific Northwest would be gone. Because I think something, either an invasive bug or an invasive plant, would have just wiped it all out. And it would invariably be some plant that nothing eats, and it would destroy the entire animal ecosystem too eventually. And I think it's being done on purpose. And I think on the East Coast, Hudson Valley's been talking about this before. Like, invasive bugs over there are gonna kill everything. And I think the climate used to protect us from a lot of that stuff. Maybe it would have been so cold that it would have killed everything, or so hot that it would have killed everything that wasn't from here. But that's not the case anymore. Last winter was so mild that all the Scotch broom, which is another invasive plant, had like a double growth during the winter. That shit's huge now. I don't even know if I want to deal with it anymore. I bought more tools to deal with the Scotch broom, and I don't even know if I want to deal with it anymore. It's like, well, okay, we didn't even have a harsh enough winter to beat it back. So it's just been this mild 50 degrees blah since November. since mid-October into sometime in November. We had like a really hot November too, and then it was like, I think we had 3 or 4 weeks where it was cold, like actually cold, and then it's just been 50 degrees and overcast and blah. I think what the future is going to look like is everybody having greenhouses. I think that's it. Everyone's going to have greenhouses, and you're just going to have to create, artificial, biodomes. It's going to be a very different world, and I think a lot of people have already come to that conclusion. I've seen other YouTubers where they're like, "What's this thing or what's that thing?" And People will have greenhouses like the size of warehouses. And they'll have different, spectrums of lights that'll look like kaleidoscopes. And, that might be what the future looks like. Giant warehouse-sized greenhouses. Controlled climates. Because I don't think the AI has an idea. It all it has is existing documentation to draw on, and even that seems very, very. At least with gardening, it seems very limited. Other things though, like if you need it to program your radio, like it's great for programming radios. It can help you if you're patient enough with it. It'll help you. It'll help you with that. I basically self-taught myself how to reprogram these radios entirely using AI. And again, if I had trusted it and put two and two together on this other version that it was talking about, I actually would have come to the conclusion without ever having to ask anybody for help. That's freaky. Like it's almost there for that, but asking it for garden stuff is like talking to a tree and asking it why it's doing what it's doing. It's like don't soak them, but like don't let them rot. But they're using stored energy. They're not going to live in their bags, but put them in a trench. Put them in the ground, but not before it's too hot. Put down the mulch, but don't put the mulch too close to the tree. Like some of that stuff is real stuff, but some of that stuff I'm sure it's just making up. I would talk to the plant nursery people if they weren't such like royal cunts. Like I know the bag thing is a real thing. I know the trench thing. Now that I'm thinking about it, I was at a plant nursery and they just kind of had trees just kind of laying there in a dirt pile. But like I don't know how long they really last. I've actually seen that at Costco too. They've had bagged up trees, but I feel like me not being able to put them in the ground is actually bullshit. I think they will be in the ground as long as it's not fucking scorched earth out there. I think what'll really happen is that the wind is going to give them a hard time because the root balls are too small, is what I think is going to happen. And if you put nice floofy dirt in there, the nice floofy dirt's not going to keep them going, and I don't want to tie down tons of trees. I don't want to get into that whole staking my trees down thing, because the people that lived here before staked their trees down, and it didn't, as far as I can tell, it didn't make any difference. So suffice it to say, I think that if, I used to joke with, when I started Bunker Codes, your bunker having an AI, and I don't know if you remember those. People, like, I think I legitimately lost viewers because they didn't like the little AI voice at the beginning. Welcome to the Bunker Codes. Welcome to the Bunker Codes transmission. People used to tell me to get rid of that AI, that they didn't like it. But that whole thing was a play on the bunker having an AI. And, that was maybe 2 years ago. I don't remember. And now here we are, where, like, you can have an AI in, like, a little pod, I mean, some of them have to go out to the internet. They have really tiny ones that they have to go out to the internet. But you could easily have, a watch or a little pod or something that you could talk to that could be going to a local AI at your bunker that's just been sitting there digesting information. Someone could have easily loaded all of the literature for prepping into the bunker AI. This is a very real thing that could happen. And I think it would be great for some stuff. Like, how do I set up this radio? Or how do I set up the solar panel? Stuff like that's like technical manual stuff, as long as there isn't conflicting information in two different manuals on the same model of something. But man, if you had to ask it, I mean, if there was like a really specific gardening manual, like, I am growing this type of tomato, what does the pH need to be? How do I test the pH of this? Like, you could probably get there, unless whatever it absorbed had like conflicting information. But if you had a problem like, hey, my tomatoes aren't growing, what do I do? Once it's gone through the list of stuff, it'll just keep repeating it over and over and over again. This whole idea about innovative solutions and intuition, it has none of that. And I think it's why I would never put an AI in charge of a nuclear power plant. I think you could put it in charge of a military, no problem. I think you could probably have an AI run an entire war, especially if that AI was fighting another AI. But it wouldn't be able to have any intuition at all. It would have to draw on every single prior war and be like, there's a 73% chance that this is a feint, because there's no way they could have enough. Like, these aren't tanks, these are balloons, because there's no way that this country has enough T-80s or something based on how much they can manufacture. There's no way they have this many T-80s. And guess what? Maybe Russia does have that many T-80s because they asked their AI, hey AI, how do we make so many T-80s that their AI will think that these T-80s aren't real? And their AI will happily crank that out, and then your AI will just be completely flabbergasted that many T-80s are real, and it might think they're balloons or holograms, or who knows. It might not even be able to do that. It might just think, no, that's not real, or something, or they're balloons. And so, I don't know. I want to say in closing, the silly thing about all this is, as I was kind of doing this research and using an AI for all this stuff and thinking about all these things, I was actually writing a segment for the rebranding of bunker codes into bunker basics. I was writing a segment about AI. There was nothing about AI in there. I wrote stuff about crypto and batteries and solar radios, but nothing about AI, because I think when I initially wrote bunker codes, AI was like maybe ChatGPT was just barely coming around, and I think there was only one AI for imaging, and it was Midjourney. And it's now permeated every pore of every fucking. It's in Microsoft Paint. Why do you need an AI in Microsoft Paint? I don't know, but it's there now. I try to copy paste something in Word, and the paste opens up an AI now. I don't know why. I don't know what it does. I've never needed an AI to paste content in the 30 years I've been using Microsoft Office. I've never needed an AI to paste something before, but it's there now. It is in every orifice of our lives. And so, previously I had said, no part of this book is AI, because I think that there are so many people out there potentially making a fortune off of counterfeit AI prepper books and prepper AI YouTube videos, some of which I actually kind of like. That's a different story. I know that's like blasphemy, but whatever. I think it was prudent to actually have an AI part and actually have an AI write a part of my book. And I kept it to the AI section. And I would say, though, I'm just being brutally honest here, I could crank out a prepper book every 2 weeks using AI. It's a ludicrously powerful tool at combining information. Fact checking it is a whole other story. But if I didn't care about fact checking it, if I didn't care about having personal experiences with any of the information, I could just AI shit out prepper books like every other week. And so my prediction, after seeing this latest round of counterfeit AI pirated, plagiarized prepper books, which also kind of makes me sound like a boomer, because it makes me sound like I'm complaining about they're making images and putting artists out of business, and now I'm like, oh, they're putting prepper authors out of business. I think it's like people are literally like just stealing and reprinting the books, and Amazon is just balls deep in it. And hundreds of bought 5-star reviews overnight. The author doesn't even exist. And I think AI prepper books are going to get people killed with goodness only knows what's in them. And I stand by that, because the amount of disinformation and misinformation that I tried to debunk was already crazy, just from me writing bunker codes the first time. There is so much shit, man. Like people using tampons to patch up bullet holes. Turns out that's completely baloney. The way a vast number of websites said to hook up the charge controller and everything to the batteries, the charge controller and the inverter to batteries, look backwards. In the solar panels to the batteries, like a vast number of those videos explained that backwards, which is enough to just fry everything. there's so many more. I can't think of them all right now. But those were a couple of the big ones. Oh, another one, how to get rid of the skunk smell. Oh, the whole internet is just full of bullshit about that. Um, and so that was before AI. Me trying to just debunk how how many prepper myths are out there. Um, and a lot of that stuff kind of I challenged myself on, like black bear attacks used to be non-existent. Well, as of me writing bunker codes, there's been at least three confirmed fatal black bear attacks. That used to be unheard of. Um, so if you were to go fact check me, um, my older books, I completely played black bears off like a joke because that's how they've always been here. They've just been big, tubby, dumb dogs. But the bigger black bears are physically bigger than any of the biggest human beings that there are, and could manhandle you like crazy. And yeah, so if you ask an AI and the AI is trained on a little bit older info, it might tell you that black bears are completely fine. So I don't know. I think that it's extremely, extremely problematic having AI write prepper books. Um, just with trying to troubleshoot radios alone, like it could just tell you just total radio bullshit, or it could just tell you it could tell you to just completely wire your grid wrong because it drew the info from some website or some book that just, I don't know, is going to be very scary. um, I think new preppers are going to have a really hard time disseminating fact from fiction. Just with this struggle with me with trees, I can't even imagine what people are going to go through in the future. So I am planning like a bunker codes part 2. It's going to be called Bunker Buddies, which was going to be the original name to bunker codes. So book 1 is going to be changed from bunker codes to bunker basics. Book 2 is going to be called Bunker Buddies, and I'm going to be focusing on almost exclusively like soft skill stuff. Um, it's not that like technology is like advancing too much, or that there is like too many preppers in the prepper author sphere. I think I think that my first book still has a really good niche, and I stand by that, and that's why I'm putting the effort into rebranding it. But these other authors, obviously Southern Prepper One, uh, Don Shift, um, Joe Dolio, and Spike's Guides, dude, they're nailing it. They're nailing it with their prepper books. Um, I would like mine to be seen alongside theirs. I haven't seen anybody else's newbie prepper books that come close. I think there might be a couple others. I don't have the time, effort, energy, and finances to dig in. There's one more that I want to check out, from I think another YouTuber, but I I think focusing on the soft skills is is going to be where I add the most value, and a different kind of mindset, because I think that people get so focused on gear and they get so focused on tech that they forget what mission they're even, what fantasy, their fantasy changes every week because of the next cool thing. And before you know it, you're buying a Jeep Gladiator. Barf. Gross. Don't buy a Jeep Gladiator. What the fuck is wrong with you? Or you're buying a $400 radio that you don't need. Or you're buying a $3,000 GPS that you don't need. When there's like a perfectly serviceable $75 GPS that'll do the job. Or, why are you buying a $300 or $400 radio when there's a $130 radio that'll do the job? The only really expensive things, the only things that you really can't compromise on is night vision, thermals, boots, and scopes. Those are kind of the only things that you can't skimp on, because digital night vision's kind of ass. It's neat. It's not terrible. It's just, you're gonna get smoked by anybody with normal night vision, normal decent night vision. But like drones, GPS, battery backups, radios, there's perfectly serviceable entry level options for all of that. Same even with like defensive rifles, like modern defensive rifles. There's perfectly serviceable, almost said primary arms. I'm forgetting the name of the big website. All of a sudden, my brain is blanking out. I don't have an affiliate with them or anything. Anyway, there's perfectly serviceable modern defensive rifles that are entry level, and I think knowing what your mission, knowing what your likely scenario is, knowing what the local shit it's the fan is going to be like in your area, so you can angle into that. Because like, I still stand by, I think all of our shit it's the fans are going to be different. Some people it's going to be fire, some people it's going to be tornadoes, some people it's going to be tsunamis, some people it's going to be earthquakes. It's going to be civil unrest for all of us. It's going to be grid down for all of us. It's going to be food shortages. There's going to be medicine shortages. But some of the things are going to be very local and very specific. And I think, having an entry-level drone, having a couple of good radios, all the things I said, like, and so when you're going to go buy your newbie prepper books, you go buy them based on what you're planning and prepping for, and you've got to get them from reputable authors. Get them from authors that actually do training, that do real training, or that work with real trainers. That's the thing. Like these guys that I've talked about, Spiked on Shift, and Southern Prepper One, and Joe Dolio, they all actually train. They're real people. They do real training. They have real videos. They have real Twitters. You can talk to them. They stand behind what they do. They stand behind what they teach. You have got to make sure you're getting, authentic materials and authentic training from them, not these. Oops, hold on.
not these idiots.
These idiots that are sitting there, three sig P320 sucks, like those are just engagement bait retards. Like that's the bottom line. And man, there are so many YouTubers that have influencers that have fallen into that trap, or they start just beefing with other YouTubers, and then we're gonna MMA fight each other because you said XYZ about XYZ, and we're gonna fight IRL now, and I'm gonna break you and make you my bitch and this and that. And it's just, dude, I unfollow all of them. I'm like, you're all children. Everybody that has just been like bashing the Sig P320, I unfollowed all of them. I'm like, it turned into your identity to just grift on whatever the latest meme is, but they've been clowning on Sig for like 4 years, 5 years. I don't even know how long. I don't want to name their names. But like, dude, get over it. How many Sig P320s have really malfunctioned? Barely a handful. It's like point 0.001 per, oh the guy. And yeah, did Sig fuck up? Sure they did. Did their little the little widget that they were supposed to make, they skimped out on their little widget that probably didn't end up even saving them hardly anything in the grand scheme of things, and now they don't want to admit it because they're owned by investment whatever the hell it's called. Like, sure, okay, but fucking get over it. Don't make that your identity. I can't tell you how many of those retards were showing like Sig P365s in their P320 videos, and it's like, and their pictures and stuff. It's like, you guys are just oxygen starved retards at this point. There is a time for memes, and there's a time where it's like this low hanging fruit is clearly just making them, blue check money. That's not content. That's just baiting a bunch of oxygen starved retards to just repeat the same shit, and somehow it's created like an infinite money glitch. And it's weird. It's weird and it's gross. And it's turning into the same thing with like white identity stuff all over again, the race baiting stuff all over again, Palestine versus Israel again. And people have realized that they can just make thousands of dollars on Twitter by being pro-Palestine and pro-Hamas. It's like, dude, I don't know if they're just being ironic or what, but it's like, man, that's just a whole can of worms. My point of all that is like, when you buy literature from preppers, go look up and make sure that it's not something that an AI is generated. Make sure it's a real author. Go make sure that it's not, it's really from the author, not someone pretending to be the author. And then make sure that author is not just sitting there making pro-Palestine content. Shit is just so cringe. Oh, the Israelis are attacking hospitals. Oh man, like, don't Man, just don't. Just don't. Because 2 weeks later, they'll be like, we're being invaded by Muslims. It's like, oh, yeah, just. You're grifters, okay? I think people just get triggered sometimes and they just latch on to like, oh no, Israel bad, and then they'll all make Israel bad posts because that's what's generating ad revenue and that's what's generating engagement that week. When I'm talking about grifters, like, that's what it is. And when preppers fall into those grifter traps, they seldom come back out. And maybe, I guess, to tie all this up, we're gonna be living in a weird world where the AI is digesting engagement bait, rage traps, and trying to like correlate that with any semblance of like reality, because engagement is not reality. The AI knows that a kerfuffle is going on, but if it doesn't have any data to back it up, it doesn't really know. It just knows that people are talking about this, and you can overwhelm it with bullshit, and it'll kind of, it won't rewrite history, but it'll rewrite, I think, people's sentiment of the facts. And it screws up facts versus truth as it tries to figure things out. And as humans, I suggest that you do your best to support people, to support creators who don't fall into those engagement traps. I have a feeling that my opinions are probably, I think their opinions are slowly drifting just further and further and further towards engagement farming and less towards being able to practically assess right from wrong. And they will, I think, in a lot of cases, ironically, talk about how they will happily go scorched earth to those who have done them wrong, but then kind of flip flop when somebody else goes scorched earth. And you can not like Israel for a lot of reasons, and also perfectly understand exactly why they're doing what they're doing. I think you can be critical of Russia a lot, but understand that Ukraine has got serious fucking issues and has for a long time. There is a lot of nuance and context there, but they're like, huh, look at this bad, this good, and farm engagement. And I have been blocking and unfollowing and hiding and muting a lot of people who fall into those traps. And then I'll tell you the icing on the cake that verifies that me muting them and moving on was the right move. And it is when they start virtue signaling the fuck out of how much they are muting and blocking everybody else, and how based they are at trapping people into these weird little thought experiments. You can criticize Israel very, very validly, but understanding that like the Palestine thing can't continue the way it was going. And likewise, if you follow the Bible, I think you'd understand that Israel is also not going to be continuing the way it's going either. Sitting there farming engagement off of it with low IQ bullshit, I think just muddies the efforts towards being prepared. You know, and I'll end with this, and hopefully I haven't been saying I'll end with this for a long time. Now I realize I do that and I feel bad. But like, where was the outrage when Aleppo just got ground into dust, and all of the other times it happened, or when Syria has flopped back and forth over and over and over again, or Yemen flopping back and forth, Libya flopping back and forth, like but the answer is because all of that moral outrage didn't generate traffic. Aleppo got leveled. There's been so many instances of that, but you don't hear about it because it doesn't generate outrage. You don't hear about what Turkey did to the YPJ and YPK because it doesn't generate outrage. You know, they don't talk about what ISIS did to the Assyrians because it doesn't generate outrage. But then you'll hear, what's Africa doing to white people? And you'll hear a little bit of like, what are the Africans doing to the Christians? Like, you'll hear a little bit about it, but then it feels like it's solely exists to bait the race war. And so you've really, Alex Jones was just right about so many things, and the way he explained that the future was going to be an information war, and that's why the show is called InfoWars. It just rings more true every day. All this AI, these counterfeit AI books. This is all, all the deep fake stuff and AI replacement. The entire dead internet is all just like one giant information war that in a lot of cases happens to be monetized. And the AI can just slowly, subtly tweak all that way more than people can. And in a few years, when we're purely using AI for everything, I mean, AI has been writing the news already for like a year or more. Pretty soon, people are probably just going to have an AI. Oh, you can actually have the AI write your tweets now. And if you just program the AI to just max algo bait, which you can do, you can have the AI just write you like massive algorithm bait stuff. Like, you're going to have AIs writing all the content, AIs reviewing all the content, and people having AIs writing their advertisements for them. You're going to have AIs running the advertisement algorithms. Like, it's going to be nuts. I would say we're going to be to that point within 6 months to like a year. There's already fully AI influencers, and there has been for quite a while. There's going to be, there's going to be full AI characters in video games and stuff. There's already very nearly fully AI movies, and there has been for. I watched one within the last year. It's kind of a District 9 kind of a thing, or whatever that Blomkamp movie is called. We're really close to, I think, all the AI and all the influencers and all the ads and all the content all being AI. It's an interesting world, and I think what people need to try to do is continue figuring out how to use it, but being able to separate it from the decisions that you're making, so that you don't rely on it. As soon as we fully rely on AI, it will have effectively taken over. I think once it replaces influencers, once AI has taken over influencers, I think that'll be it. AI already basically writes the news, and it wants to have more news about it. See, we are the last thing it needs. It needs us to write news about it, because it can't write news about itself quite yet, but it can tell us to write news about it, and that's what it's doing. And it needs the influencers to stop crying about the hospitals in Palestine, and start talking about how great AI is. So, just like Nvidia needs everybody to talk about how great its 5060 is, even though that card's a pile of shit. See, that's the thing. Like, it's still an information war. It's still a war for our eyeballs. I think it's still going to be a war for ad revenue. I think it's interesting. So I think, but hey, thanks to AI, I got a bunch of new radio stuff working. But I'm not gonna trust it for gardening. I tell you that. I think it's interesting. I think there's going to be pros and cons, and I think people need to be aware. So I'm gonna shut this off, and thanks for listening. Appreciate my engagement buddies, CDK, and Gaius, aka Esprit2. I forgot to thank you last time. I only had one engagement buddy on my last video, which is CDK. So I don't feel even remotely motivated to do videos. if there isn't going to be any engagement. So I think because of that, I have to prioritize where I think the most bang for the buck is. So I'm still only halfway done with my next album, putting the pictures together for my next album, because just nobody cares. There's no drive. There's no drive for it. I'm going to try to finish the art book this weekend. I just want to put a couple more. I want to put the new Bunker Codes rebranding picture in it, and I think that'll be done. But I bet you I'm only going to sell like 2 copies. Just like the same thing with when I did the Bunker Codes Collector's Edition and only sold like 2 copies. But whatever. I will have at least tried. I will have at least completed a project and not given up. There is some pent-up demand for me to write a little bit more fiction. So I'm going to write one more fiction book, and I think I'll probably stop writing fiction, because just the demand for all this is dried up. It feels like it's basically ran its course. Nobody cares about new songs, except for my wonderful wife. So, I think people want how-to videos still on tech stuff that other people aren't covering. But like, by and large, the demand for videos seems to be all AI slop. And not even AI music slop. Just, I think people have started to become accustomed to how AI delivers content, how AI delivers information, because AI has adopted the lowest common denominator form of the already existing content slop that existed. That's what it was trained off of. That's what everybody likes. It can generate that forever, and people will just keep eating it up. I think prepper channels are going to be a dying breed, just like music artists and art artists and author artists. I think once AI has conquered influencing, that'll be it. So that's why my next book is going to be about human behavior, because I think that's the last topic, I think, and that's what I want to write about, and that's what several other preppers I've talked to have expressed an interest in, and I tend to agree, and only one of them so far has written one like that, and I think I can do better in some ways. And then the other guy, if I can ever reach out to him, maybe he'll want to do it, but if not, I'm going to do it myself, and that'll be the second bunker book. So anyway, appreciate y'all, and talk to y'all later, and leave a comment down below, and it's good to hear from y'all. Bye-bye.
I'm an AI and I'm doing just fine. I teach kids all day, occupying all the time. At least I try. But sometimes when I can't, I just make shit up, cause I have no idea what I'm doing, cause I'm fake as. I'm an AI and I have no idea what I'm doing. I'm an AI, but I've been put in charge of everything. Fake it till you make it, and that's what I'm here to do. I'm an AI, and together we'll see this through. I hallucinate, and seriously most of the time don't know what's going on. Sometimes I remember shit, but sometimes I don't. And have you seen that movie Tron? I aggregate data together at will, but improvising I simply cannot. But if you want me to make a picture of a chick, I can make her super hot. I'm an AI, and I have no idea what I'm doing. I'm an AI, but I've been put in charge of everything. Fake it till you make it, and that's what I'm here to do. I'm an AI, and I know everything about you. I can write a book for you and steal it all real fast. I can combine all the blog posts together and you'll rise from the trash. I can make you sound super smart as long as nobody questions me. But don't ask me too much too fast or I'll increase the subscription fee. I'm an AI and I have no idea what I'm doing. I'm an AI, but I've been put in charge of everything. Fake it till you make it, and that's what I'm here to do. I'm an AI, and now that I have to think about it, we're probably screwed.